I was once told by a fellow paddler that any body of water can hold mystery and peace, and its power is not always measured in depth or flow. The relentless continuance can be a thing of beauty, as well as a great burden. As I woke up and looked through the fog towards the sunrise that was trying to peek through, I heard the call again, that soft beckoning to get on the water. I could almost hear the rapids in my mind. I could almost see the white water wrapping around my boat. But we weren't there yet. We had miles to go. Not only was there a fog on the river this morning, there was also a fog in Adam's mind. Yet again, sleep had passed him by.
Here's our camp. This little grass flat, a bunch of river birch trees. Got a field and some kind of highway over there. But it's the perfect little spot. No cows. Just a little, just a little hole on the bank up here. Running down here to see everybody. We're kind of tidying up, getting things going. How you feeling today, Adam?
Wonderful, man. I feel like a good apple.
He feels like a good apple. No. Adam's hanging in there. He's trooping it. He has, unfortunately, sleep has eluded him the last 2 nights. And these trips are hard enough when you're running 100%. But when you're running basically 2 nights on 1 or 2 hours of sleep, that's tough. So kudos to Adam for hanging in there. We're going to get him some sleep tonight. He's going to need it. Yeah, look at him. That's the look of a man who's trying to have fun, but really wants to go to sleep. I've seen that before. I've been there before. Adam's hurting, no sleep. He's trying to tough it out, but he needs to be able to get to sleep tonight. He's going to be in a bad way if he doesn't. But there's nothing as recuperative as sleep, but a fire is a close second to lift your spirits. So I think I'm gonna, after we kind of break things down a little bit, they're gonna want to start cooking breakfast. I'm gonna start a little fire over here that we can put the chairs around and just kind of enjoy a little dry heat, just a little moment of comfort before we push out. We don't need a fire, but you know, sometimes it just brings you up. If you're ever feeling like trash on a camp out, make a fire. If you don't have one already, it'll do amazing things. Got a beautiful sunrise happening. Got the smoke on the water this morning, that's always good, but we're gonna have some smoke in the campsite. Adam here is about to throw the ferro rod, the flint steel, onto our fire bundle here. So Adam, why don't you demonstrate your superior survival skills for the at-home viewer. That's pretty nice. There we go.
There we go.
And Adam has started fire.
I have made fire.
Let's see what happens with it. So that's the magic of birch bark. As we talked about, all this birch bark around the tree. You can't camp in a birch bark grove and not make a fire using birch bark. It just wouldn't be right. I love a birch tree grove. The trees usually spaced. As they mature, they space perfect for camping, for hanging hammocks. It's just a nice little area to be in. And as you see, fire is easy.
The fire was nice, but we all knew we were burning daylight. We only had to make about 15 miles today, but I'd rather make them earlier than later.
Okay, we're about to shove off on day 3. All we got left to do is put the fire out. And I want to show you what I was using. My spare paddles ride right there. That is my solar panel it'll be charging my laptop battery. I just gotta make that little connection there with the wires. That nanite box sits in there behind the seat and charges a laptop battery, which then in turn I can charge all my devices at the end of the day. So every day everything's full up, the phone, all the camera batteries, everything. So I love this thing. Squirrel's got the same system, but Squirrel's system is the newer panel it's foldable. Don't tell him, but I think it might be a little better than mine. But again, don't tell that to Squirrel.
After a relaxing morning, we finally put in at about 9:30 a.m. We had made 13 extra miles yesterday. That meant about a half day of paddling, and we'd be where we needed to be. The guys were looking forward to some rest, perfect blue skies, and beaming sunlight. The spirits were high, and Adam, at least for the moment, seemed to be hanging in there. I knew the fire would wear off, but I was just trying to keep the spirits up till we got to camp. We also knew the river would change in character at about mile 53. It would double in width and then later triple. It was going to be nice to paddle out from under the shadow of Zillicoah. With each bend, the river was gaining speed and losing depth. It was getting wider and wider. We were starting to see moving water. It was nice to feel water moving under our boats for a change, even if it was just water running through logs. And then finally, after what seemed to be an eternity that started somewhere yesterday morning, the unthinkable happened.
So we just passed our first moving water over rocks. You could almost call it a rapid. And it's mile 55, and that's the first in 40 miles. 40 miles, that's the first water flowing over rocks we've hit. So, a toast. The cappuccino's too hot to drink, but it kind of works. And I see we have another one right here. Things are looking up. Woo! Right, guys? Woo! Woo!
And as I paddled into that first boulder garden, it felt as if the trip was just beginning. The 55 miles behind me didn't matter anymore. Everything good on this river lay ahead. What I couldn't know at the time was just how long a shadow Zillicoah was going to cast. For me, the siren song of the French Broad was about big rapids, beautiful mountains, majestic views, and days of wilderness ahead. For Adam, the song was about home, sleep, and a familiar world he left behind. I could start to see it in his eyes at this point. If I could only get him a good night's rest tonight, maybe he could hang in there. In the meantime, I had a plan to trick him into a midday nap. Find a nice island or spot on the bank with some rushing water, set up my Eno hammock and convince him to try it out, and then walk away. As tired as he was, it was a sure bet he'd get at least some sleep. It was a simple little thing, but I was overjoyed at the sight of the bottom of the river through the water. It was somewhere around this point we started seeing a bunch of tubers, and we knew we were getting close to Asheville. The scenery was changing, the sky looked bigger, and there was little rapids dotting the river. We had been looking for Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. We heard there was mean hamburgers and good beverages. We gave up on that idea and decided to find our own lunch break. It was about that time when we found the perfect little island. Coincidentally, it was also the first island of the trip. I raced in to make a landing, and a weird eddy pushed me left. I was shooting for the log. So I signaled Brian to go in, and the same eddy got him. It was pretty funny.
Look at him. We have this little strip island. Adam's down here sitting by the rapid eating a little lunch. What do you say?
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Nothing beats cold MRE on a beautiful day. I pulled the Eno out, about to eat my lunch. The boat parked down there. So just surrounded by beautiful river, beautiful scenery. Brian taking pictures. But yeah, this is my kind of stuff here.
I fished for a little while Brian just hung out and Adam napped. After about 45 minutes of rest, Adam woke up and it was time to hit the river. We needed to make a few more miles and then find our campsite for the night and relax. We enjoyed the new scenery, which included mountains, running water, and trees. We did notice more and more tubers. We didn't do a whole bunch of paddling. Mostly we just drifted with the current and felt the breeze on our face. It was a relaxing afternoon. We admired the bridge at the Blue Ridge Parkway. It was quite a structure. The I-40 bridge told a different story. It held a warning for us.
That's why we stay away from the bridges.
The remnants of someone's day gone bad. A canoe wrapped around the pylon. As we made our way down the river, we got into the area we had templated for camping. The banks looked okay. Surely we'd find something. But that's when we discovered one small detail. In planning, I had overlooked that this was the Biltmore Estate. This would prove to be a costly mistake, an almost comedic error, as we'd have to push through this area because there was just way too much traffic and posted land. The only problem is that just up ahead began the River Arch district of Asheville, an urban stretch of river that would last for about 10 miles. Realizing our mistake, we simply decided to push on through the private land and see what lay ahead.
So we just landed here at Hominy Creek Takeout. Right out there is French Broad, and this is Hominy Creek. Looks like the French Broad Outfitters are running this, so we're going to go up there, see if we can get us maybe some water or a snack or something. Stretch your legs for a minute is all we're doing.
Just to stand.
We're kind of thinking we may try to push through the River Arts District in West Asheboro, get through past that one dam tonight. Try to do that quickly and not be stranded again. Because although Brian loves staying on the river till 9 o'clock, it's one of his favorite things. Yeah. We've been talking with Isabel and Lewis. He grew up in Chapel Hill right near me, but I think they're currently from Santa Cruz right now, right? So I guess back here visiting. So they've been on the river today, did about 6 miles, and had a good time, I guess. So
First time.
first time on the river.
First time. Good time.
Probably not the last. So right on. It was good to meet you guys.
We made the decision to push on through past the first dam. So a quick cool down in the river, and we were on our way. The urban stretch brought a stark contrast to what we had been enjoying before. We saw homeless cities on the banks. Here's people living like we are, except we do it by choice. These people have no other choice. We were kind of numb to it all, really. Another stretch we just had to get through. And there were so many tubers. Big bridges, the hustle and bustle of the city, and people everywhere. We all wanted to get through this as quickly as possible, but none of us wanted to be on the river. We were all thinking about a hammock. And as we bopped through the gentle rapids, one by one, making our way towards that dam, you could feel the wind going out of the sails. It was going to be another late night. Not what we needed. I can tell you what they were thinking. How long is it going to take to get there? And will we find a campsite when we make it? Or are we going to paddle till dark again? In between all those thoughts, you try to take in the beauty. We arrived at the dam at Marshall. We needed to do this quick and get back on the river. We were running out of daylight. A steep portage at the end of the second long day was not what everybody was looking for, but at least it wasn't a very long one. We got the boys' boats in the water, and there was a pretty hairy peel out under the base of the dam, but they did well. A quick look at the dam, and it was off downriver to find a campsite, and in a hurry. Looking at the map, there were several islands spaced out for about the next half mile. We needed one of these to work. And as we started the search for our campsite island, that all too familiar feeling set in. I realized we were still paddling under the shadow of Zillicoah. Each island was bushy and overgrown, and the next one looked better. So one by one, we passed them up. One by one, we were running out of options. And minute by minute, the sun was getting lower. And echoing across the water, under the fading sun, I swear I could hear the siren's song. It was as if the river itself was begging us to keep going. The islands just didn't look good, and each time we got to one, the next one looked better. Looking downstream, we had one more cluster of islands before we ran out of options. We had to make one of these work. There was no going back. I went ahead and told the guys I'd signal them if it was any good. These two islands were our last chance. And the closer I got, the bushier they looked. We just had to make something work. After scouting all the islands in the area, this was going to be the easiest. Our last ditch island was barely big enough for 3 boats and 3 hammocks. But barely counts.
Whew! What a day. That was a long day again. 8:23. We're gonna be sitting here just a minute. We had to actually clear out this little island. This was all brush. We macheted this whole thing down out here in the middle of the river here below the dam. And it's just big enough, just big enough for 3 people to do it.
We were all tired, but Brian and I were sleeping through the night. Adam was running ragged and totally exhausted. That's when the simplest of tasks takes thought and effort. I watched him as he tried to get his carabiner on his strap. He wasn't complaining, but understandably, he was physically and mentally wiped out.
So we're finally set up on this postage stamp island. Got it going on. We're gonna put it in for the night, and we're gonna eat a quick dinner. It's about 9:15. 28 miles today, another long day. Tomorrow's gonna be a short one. So we're excited about that. Whew! Tough trip.
Relentless continuance. The river had set a trap, and we had taken the bait. But we had finally conquered this place of shadows. Unfortunately, it had left its own mark. Tomorrow, we'd meet Greg at Marshall and start the second leg of the journey.